Hi, Trevor here, reflecting on life through music. Welcome and thank you for stopping by. It's great that you're here. Well, I trust you enjoyed my last video on the Bellamy Brothers and the 68th most played song of the 20th century being Let Your Love Flow. And in that particular video, we looked at the fact that physical intimacy is so important in long-term committed relationships. So I trust you enjoyed that one. Well, we go from there to a band that was formed in 1978. And although Terry Nunn wasn't there at the start, she certainly became the front girl for this band, Berlin, with a bunch of guys, including John Crawford, David Diamond, Rick Olsen, Matt Reed, and Rob Brill. And between 1980 and 1986, they released 4 albums. There was a bit of a break there, and then from 2002 to 2019, they released another 4 albums. Very much in the new wave synth rock pop genre. Now, Berlin is famous for one of the songs of the 1980s. I won't tell you which song that one is yet, but if you think about Tom Cruise and aeroplanes, you'll know where I'm heading with that particular song. In fact, that song won an Academy Award. It was written by Giorgio Moroder, but we'll get onto that song in a minute. Because there's a particular song I wanted to focus on today, and this came from the 1987 album Count 3 and Pray. And it is the hard rocker Like Flames. Such an incredible vocal performance by Terry Nunn on this one. And this song has captivated me from the minute I heard it. And so I just had it included in this series. Now, as I said back when I was talking about the Beatles, when we write songs, we don't write lyrics that are obvious. We write lyrics that are a bit mysterious. And this is certainly the case with this song today. It was written by Rob Brill, who, in a clip I'm going to show you in a minute, is the drummer of Berlin, who wrote this particular song. And there are some lyrics like, freedom bought and freedom traded, working near Eden, which lies here, the sweat and tears, and all of the rest of the song, things that go along with lyrics like that. These lyrics are making a little bit of social commentary, I believe, today about how we as human beings can treat each other with a bit of strangeness at times, particularly when the skin colour is different. We think because we are a certain way that we sometimes are superior. Well, that's not the case at all, because we actually all have arms and legs. Well, most of us have arms and legs, but we all certainly do have blood pumping out in our veins, and it's all red. So, this song is having a real sideswipe almost at the concept of exerting power over other people. And certainly back, if you think about the American plantations, we're talking about the slaves who picked the cotton and all of the rest of it, and the fact that there was just no freedom there at all. And every day they would look and see these incredible homesteads that their toil and labour had created for their owners at the time. And so this song's having a real attack, I believe, at slavery today. Now, if we think slavery has left the world, it hasn't. And it's particularly prevalent in the sex trade these days. And it's quite sad to see girls as young as 9 and 10 getting lured into this industry. And there certainly are many advocates who are trying to get girls out of those particular industries, but it's still quite common in many places in the world. So slavery is still a bit of a thing today, unfortunately. It's amazing what we can do as human beings sometimes, and what we do to each other. And unfortunately, this video today is just talking a little bit about that. But I think the thing that makes this song so captivating for me is just how rocky and full-blown, peltingly amazing this song is. We've got incredible words, we've got amazing vocals by Terry Nunn, an absolutely cracking band behind her as she performs this particular song. And I suppose there's almost a bit of a call to arms in this song, a bit of a, come on, let's do something to make a change. Come on, people, let's march. Let's march on the steps of Parliament House. Let's march onto the authorities and let's let them know what we really, really think. Because slavery, for instance, is just really not a good idea. It's not a fair thing for people who were slaves to be in it. So what we're talking about today is we're talking about a movement. We're talking about movements that are created. And often movements don't come because, the powers that be sit down and say, oh, we really need to make a change here. Often movement happens and will compel these people to actually make these changes. If we think about, again, look at slavery in particular, it was William Wilberforce in 1807 who eventually, after many, many years, abolished slavery in the UK. There was the slave trade. In fact, that song Amazing Grace, which many people know, was written by John Newton, who was a slave trader and captaining these ships that were horrible inside, really, really horrible. So a movement made slavery in the UK abolished in 1807. And then it took a civil war in the US for Lincoln in 1863 to pass a law to say that slavery was no longer legal in the US. And then 100 years later, Martin Luther King, in his famous I Have a Dream speech in 1963, still talked about the fact that there was racial stuff happening between white and black in the US, and he dreamed that all men would be created equal and all men would have equal rights. There was 250,000 people watching that speech that day in Washington. So very much a movement. And if we think about other movements, we think in 1894, 1895, votes for women. In my hometown of Adelaide, Adelaide was the second worldwide power to give votes for women and also the right for them to stand for Parliament. That happened after years and years of the women's suffrage movement. So if we don't think movements make a difference, they actually do. There are a lot of movements going on at the moment. We think about the Black Lives Matter movement, the Me Too movement, many movements like that, where things have kind of been hushed up and kept quiet. Well, movements are actually starting to make a voice and make their way in often sometimes not very nice ways. And it can be a bit of a trick to know how to actually get a movement going on when there seems to be such a big reaction against it. I think movements are good if there is a greater good, like we're thinking past ourselves and we're considering the needs of other people. But when movements become a bit selfish orientated, and I suppose during COVID-19 at the moment there certainly has been protests, but the greater good surely is to keep us all safer from this horrible thing called COVID-19. And so as long as movements are motivated by respect for other people, there's certainly a place for them. And movements have certainly made a big difference in the world over the last, 2-3 centuries. We think about often movements come through civil wars. We think about the First and Second World War. Both of those were movements against a power that was looking to dominate and take control. Sometimes movements come at a great cost. And I suppose my hope is that we will learn from our past mistakes. And we'll learn from the fact that Movement should not be required if we can sit down and logically talk to each other about things that potentially will need to change. So that's what like flames. Now, if you think about flames, once they take hold, they take over a countryside really, really quickly. I mean, you just got to think about Australia back in January this year, about how much was burned in such a quick amount of time. And if you drive through some of those roads, you just can't believe how black they still are, even 9 months after the bushfires. But flames gather momentum, flames become bigger, and flames end up becoming a force that just cannot be ignored. So you can either try to put out those flames, or you can listen to what the flames are actually saying. That's what this song written by Rob Brill is all about today. And good on you, Rob, for writing such incredible lyrics and for coming up with such an amazing song. So yes, movements have a place. Now, if you find yourself getting motivated by a cause, something that just seems unfair, something where someone else is marginalised and affected, well, you know, there's an opportunity to do something constructive and respectful about that. There's certainly places in this world for things needing to be said. And I think if it's been done in the right way, that's all really, really good. I remember talking to a politician once and him saying, yeah, I get kind of requests for things all of the time. But none of those people ever bother to get to know me first. I think there's something quite wise in that. It's good to try and engage these people in conversation. And certainly with a couple of things, I've just sort of a couple of smaller things, he has taken action on those things because I have bothered to get to know him. And I think there's power in getting to know people before just marching on the steps of Parliament House. So I trust that will be an encouragement for you today. Movements certainly have had their place in the past and they probably will have in the future. And this song today is a call to arms, particularly over the horrible thing of slavery, which is still in our world even today. Well, on to the clips today. Now, yes, we do have a live version of Like Flames. This is from 1987, and yes, you just see how amazing and powerful these guys are when they get together on stage and play, and how amazing is Terry Nunn's vocals in this particular song. She really, really believes in the lyrics that she's singing here, and the crowd just gets carried away with what is an amazing song. In a category all of its own almost, this particular song. So there's that one. And I thought I'd also include the speech of Dr. Martin Luther King on the steps of Washington. So if you want to look at that particular one, because there is nothing more compelling, nothing more defining of a movement than Dr. Martin Luther King talking about the racial divide in the United States. So that one's there as well for you to have a look at. Just see how many people are watching him give his speech. And then we can't talk about Berlin, the band Berlin, without talking about the song Take My Breath Away. This is the song that made them a household name. This is the song that certainly, with the release of the movie Top Gun, which of course had Tom Cruise in it, that's the one with the aeroplanes, with the really, really fast aeroplanes. This made Terry Nunn and Berlin a household worldwide name. This song was absolutely massive and one of the songs from the 1980s, written by Giorgio Moroder. Now, I thought, given the iconicness of Take My Breath Away, we've got the official clip from 1987, and there you'll see Tom Cruise and his girl and everybody else. So this is the official clip of Take My Breath Away. And I thought I'd also get one from 2016, and this is a more laid-back acoustic version And you just see how amazing Terry Nunn's vocals actually are, and how she can actually deliver a song which she has been singing for, at this point, 30 years. So good on you, Terry, for delivering one of the vocals of the 1980s. You really deserve the incredible respect you have in the industry for your amazing voice, and thank you for the gift that you brought to the world with Take My Breath Away, and to Rob for writing Like Flames. What an incredible song indeed. Well, that's it for today. If you do like this video, please give it the thumbs up, and I'd love you to subscribe. If you have come back for another video, it's awesome that you're here, and thank you for staying with me. Fantastic indeed. Well, that's it for today. Next time we're going to go on to band Big Daddy Weave. So if you want to know who Big Daddy Weave are, please hang around and you'll find out all about them next time. So until then, I'll catch you around.